all across the US and the world. So I'd like to start off this session today taking 3 deep breaths just to center us and connect to our true essence as we talk about raising consciousness. So you can close your eyes or leave your eyes open and feel your feet on the floor, on the ground, wherever you are, and just take a deep breath in through the nose. Deep diaphragmatic breath all the way up to the heart. Connect with that essence of all of who you are and release. Good. Just releasing what no longer serves you. Feeling everyone interconnected, that oneness. And take another breath, deep breath in, all the way up to your heart. Feeling your heart. And when you're ready, release. And again, third breath. Take another deep breath in, deep diaphragmatic breath. This time all the way up to the crown chakra above your head. And release. And you can open your eyes if you haven't already. And I'm so happy that you're here with us to be connected with you. And just to briefly introduce, Humanities Team is a global nonprofit organization focused on helping people throughout the world awaken to the interconnectedness or oneness of everything in the universe so that we can embody that awareness in every aspect of our lives. So let me introduce our host today, Steve Farrell, and then he'll introduce the rest of our esteemed guests today. And we were just speaking before we started that we were all present at Sacred Awakening Live. It was just so amazing to meet each other in person and to be here. It's like a little reunion online. So, Steve Farrell is the co-founder and worldwide executive director of Humanities Team. A global leader in conscious living, Steve has dedicated over 2 decades to awakening humanity to our deeper identity and the sacred interconnectedness of all life. His teachings blend spiritual wisdom, science, and grounded life experience, empowering people everywhere to step into their higher potential. Welcome, Steve.
Charissa, thank you. Thanks so much for opening the program and for your generous introduction. And a huge welcome to all of you here. Thank you for being here. We only do this program twice a year where we just talk about what the work of Humanities Team, what we're doing, kind of have a networking event and fundraising, um, and, um, and just invite a deeper partnership. So, and I really appreciate you all coming in to spend quality time with us here. This is a 90-minute program, and there's another program going deeper tomorrow for those of you that want to follow the kind of the campaigns and the work of Humanities Team at a deeper level. Um, we are, as Carissa mentioned, we're a 23-year-old 501c3 nonprofit. We were founded in June 2003, almost exactly 23 years ago. In fact, this might be right in that window. It was a 3-day launch that Neale Donald Walsch and I did in Wilsonville, Oregon. And I think we're in the 3-day time span. So isn't that cool? 23 years later, here we are. Um, so as I get started, the thing I woke up with this morning that I wanted to bring in is so we're not just sort of yippee happy and stuff, which we are. And that's actually where we're going to spend 95% of our energy here. But I want to acknowledge that as we read the news, as we look out the window at today's world, often I think many will experience a loss of control, I'll say, and even a sense that we're sort of spiraling towards some kind of challenging future for ourselves and more importantly for our kids and future generations. So I want to start there and just acknowledge what is so that these are challenging times. And what we want to share with you okay, I'm going to speak for all of us here because I know this is part of our message is we are in control. There is no loss of control. Actually, uh, all of our speakers were with us in Fort Collins when we spoke here recently. We had a live event there. Some of you maybe were with us. Uh, Sue Frederick shared the light always wins. You know, now that's not just a cool thing to share or a happy yippee kind of thing. It's real. I mean, I look down through the history of time, and the light does always win. So, and this is why actually Humanities Team was founded 23 years ago. We didn't start and then go in some new direction that where we're now, conscious living and 2040 and things. We started saying that we were going to go narrow and deep, narrow and deep. We were going to talk about from the very beginning the causal factor that's creating these challenges in the world, that's behind the individual challenges and the collective challenges. And it's this, as we know, you all have been in Humanities Team for some time, it's this sense of separation, right? Even though scientists are affirming all the way back to Einstein and then more recently the Nobel Prize for Physics in 2022 to three researchers that talks about entanglement. And entanglement is saying more than oneness. Entanglement is saying that, like right now, just to make this a grounded statement, what we're saying here right now is actually having effect on more than just us on Zoom. That we're affecting people actually on other sides of the world just simply by this high vibration energy. And David R. Hawkins is one of the researchers that brings that in. If you've read his material, he says somebody in a very high vibration state, and this is down below Buddha and Christ, is affecting 750,000 people with their very high vibration state. Okay, and this is what quantum physicists are bringing in when they talk about entanglement, that there actually is a higher consciousness. There's a oneness. There's a consciousness with a capital C. There's a self with a capital S. And this has been and is the work of Humanities Team. And you all probably know we've received many downloads, Neale, myself, and actually leaders here, partners, colleagues. A couple of the recent ones that we were going to change humanity's future. Okay, and that's addressing the loss of control, the spiraling towards. Okay, we were told about 3 years ago we're going to create a changing humanity's future initiative. And then after that, coming in that the conscious living would come into its tipping point in 2040. Okay, that's 15 years from now. 800 million people conscious. That's tipping point means, of course, the whole planet isn't yet living consciously, but as we know, tipping point means it's now prevalent enough that people are feeling this whole affect all over the planet and feeling the high vibration and going, oh my God, I'm done living in the logic center of my mind, chasing materiality. It's time I come into my birthright and live into the beautiful invitation that was what life was about anyway. That's what all of our work is, right? So I also want to share that in this, as we talk about 2040 and tipping point, this is not a complicated process to awaken and to be expressing this light, this higher consciousness, this higher self, this oneness. It's not a complicated process. It's actually our birthright, and it's how we were born into the world. As we look at babies or puppies or anything, right? They're in that illuminated state. And we're born that way. It's just that we learned the whole Newtonian Darwinian thing as we were going through school of we're all separate and I'm going to go get mine, survival of the fittest. And so we started pursuing the materiality thing, many of us, and you've heard my own story in Silicon Valley. But once we come to the realization that that's not it, that it's not, that materiality itself won't bring us there, won't bring us into that high vibration state, this beautiful state that Joseph Campbell called this ecstatic moment, right? They're in the kingdom of heaven, the peace beyond understanding, these different terms that people have shared historically. That's what conscious living is. And so in Humanities Team, we've created, of course, we've become the largest streaming platform for consciousness raising education. And that's with a lot of your support that we've become that. So when you look at the library we have of consciousness raising masterclasses and education, we now have a larger library than anybody on the planet. Even I'll share the name Mind Valley because they're kind of the largest in our space. But our library devoted to conscious living is larger than anybody's right now. And again, with your support, we've grown into that. We've created a masterclass recently that goes through this simple process that I'm talking about, that starts with a materiality focus, and then kind of our awareness is comes more into bloom, and we start noticing, oh, the earth is actually calling out here that needs some attention, right? And then oneness, understanding that through the research, and then claiming our divinity. So we have a masterclass that just takes people through this simple process of that pursuing the me, I'm going to get mine thing, to living fully consciously. We have a free program, a masterclass. It's called Higher Self, Higher Purpose. Um, uh, then Awakening the Power Within. And we created a coaching program from this masterclass as well. So we can take 7 to 9 people through at a time. Again, a very simple process. It's actually our birthright, this oneness thing. So it doesn't need to be complicated where we have to memorize 10 things or something. So this is our focus. This is where we are 23 years in. Let me bring in something. You, over the years, have heard, again, these inspirations. We got this inspiration of Galileo moment. Okay, so you maybe have heard us talk about that. I want to bring that in because it's important. It was one of those things that was just dropped in. And Galileo, in the early 1700s, he was the one that, with his telescope and observations, proved and demonstrated that the Earth was not the center of the universe. One man who was under house arrest till the time he died because the church and a lot of the world was not happy with him for bringing that in. So one man carried that cross. Now, you might say, well, why is that so important? What if we still thought the Earth was the center of the universe? Okay, here's why it's important. You can Google this yourself. Our modern day satellites, communication systems, security systems, we couldn't have them in this what's called geocentric understanding, in a geocentric world where we think the Earth is the center of the universe. It's only in this heliocentric world, that's saying where the Earth is actually a part of a solar system, not at the center of the universe at all, that we can create all of these satellite and security systems that we have. It was a necessary thing to bring in. And one man took it, carried that cross up the hill so that the world could see ultimate reality. Okay, the reason Galileo moment is important is because we're in the same moment now, where, as we know, in the mainstream world, there's this optical delusion still. This is what Einstein called it, where we say we're all separate from each other, and we're separate from the earth, and we're separate from God. And so we pursue the me thing, feeling alone, feeling anxiety, living transactionally, right? That's what happens when we're living this way, how most of us grew up. Okay, through our work, we're awakening from that whole nightmare, right? And we're awakening to ultimate reality again. Ultimate reality is that we're not separate at all. The causal factor, or first domino, is that thought that we're separate from everything. Just like, so Galileo brings in the Earth is not the center of the universe. We're bringing in, with our global movement, with our streaming platform, with all of our work, with this 15 years until 2040, that a global movement that's saying one person can't any longer carry the cross to share what ultimate reality is. We're going to do this together. We're going to support with other, of course, there are great leaders all over the planet that are also in this work. With them, we're going to support the work that creates that tipping point in 2040, the 800 million people that are not just observing and in the logic center of their mind, but in the wisdom center of their soul, I'll call it, because that's kind of where we're operating from when we're living consciously. That we're living into the beauty of this whole world around us as a part of this oneness, as a conscious being in this diversity and unity. I shared in the green room a moment ago with our team. We've got these beautiful speakers that are here with us. That I was going to read a post, which I want to read now. Okay, you all, Suzanne Giesemann, who's going to speak in a moment, she has a free app called Awaken Way. And if you haven't downloaded it, you should, because it's why our partnership is so strong. Is when we talk about oneness and conscious living and these things, this is all in this app. There's a beautiful post every day. Okay, here's what a recent post shared. I'm going to read it because when it's going to bring down concretely what we're talking about when we talk about tipping point and conscious living and how we've transformed, how we've emerged into this. Barbara Marx Hubbard called it new human. She called it the universal human. So, okay, here's the post. May your self-importance come from knowing your higher self. May your self-image come not from looking in a physical mirror, but from seeing the reflection of the love you give to the world reflected in those around you. May your self-worth come not from a bank account or sparkling possessions, but from the innate awareness that you are a sparkle of the divine in human form. May you love yourself because you are love itself, manifesting in a body for just a while and eternally loved simply for being. Okay, so there you, when we talk about tipping point or conscious living, and we can all kind of, I'm sure our wheels are turning on that of, okay, is my world like that now? Is that true for me now, right? This is conscious living. This is this thing. We were born into the world with this, but we were then educated in a different direction. And now we're just awakening back to the original invitation when we were born. So Suzanne, I want to thank you for the Awakened Way app and that beautiful post, and there are many others like it. Okay, I want to just share here quickly a few things. We are, with your support, we're gaining momentum. We have 3 things that we're focusing on funding right now to help us achieve that 2040 goal. One, to increase our subscribership to 100,000. So we elevate humanity's team and our platform and our global community in the world. That's one of the things we're raising funds for. We're at about 3,000 right now. 2, to support, we have 69 country coordinators now around the world. Alberjan, I might probably mispronouncing that country name, we just announced yesterday, country coordinator for this country, 69. They're volunteers now. They're not paid. We don't even reimburse their expenses. So raising funds so that we can provide them more training and to support them doing live events out in their countries. 3, this is the 16th year we've celebrated Global Oneness Day. You might probably know the story of it. So where we went to the UN and the UN asked us to create Global Oneness Day. And they said, come back. After you've created momentum and people know about Global Oneness Day and Google it, people do know about Global Oneness Day. They said, come back. And then let's get Global Oneness Day on the UN event calendar like International Day of Peace. And then it can really go viral, right? And we have this huge team, Diane Williams, Olivia Hanson. I should name a few names because there are like 20 of us that are working together right now in the United Nations to gather sponsors to get Global Oneness Day on the UN event calendar. Costa Rica has just signed up as a sponsor. We're still looking for our lead sponsor. So funding for that initiative. Okay. Um, Momentum, that we've grown into this in 23 years and that we're a mature, stable, shovel ready in terms of as funding comes in, we can put it to use where we spend money as our own money organization. And so one of the things we want to do here is invite you to financially contribute. If you resonate with our work and you're concerned about the future, you have kids or grandkids, or you look at the kids that are in this world, and again, I started with this sense of worry that many have. Instead of worrying, which accomplishes nothing, partner more closely with us. Let's support this global community, this movement that's bringing conscious living out into the world. Partner more closely with us. We invite you to financially contribute and to tighten your partnership with us if you resonate with our work. And it'll help to fund those three things, those three initiatives and other initiatives that we've got in place here right now in Humanities Team. I'll share just in terms of testimonies and things, and maybe we'll put a few in the chat. We get testimonies all day long, including in the live event in Fort Collins, where people say, God, you guys have changed my life. You might even have seen some of the videos we recorded of people that somebody, a guy named Todd, recorded where he said, I was going to take my life and I didn't because of this work. This is unreal, this work that we're doing. Some call it moonshot philanthropy. Moonshot philanthropy is when you're investing in one thing that changes everything. So like cancer is considered a moonshot philanthropy, where there's some organization that says, we're going to cure cancer. And people fund that. Okay. We're going to the original first domino, the source of everything, all the challenge that's out there, this sense of separation thing, where we're then again with our master classes, our programs, Global Oneness Day, coaching programs, just bringing people into this awakened state. And when I say Humanities Team too, think of Humanities Team in this larger sense where these people, these beautiful partners are going to present with me right after me. When I say Humanities Team, I'm referring to them, to Suzanne, to Debra, to Neale, to Jan, to Ross, to Sue. It's the larger, and all of the people that aren't here, Greg Braden and Nassim Harriman and Bruce Lipton and Lynn McTaggart, and that support us. So I'm referring to all of the people that have come together as colleagues, as partners in this, that have said, we can do this. Let's not go to loss of control. Let's not go to spiraling out. That's crazy. It was prophesied that we would awaken and we create a whole new way of living on the earth. Some of you have heard me talk about Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. Barbara Marx Hubbard used to speak about him extensively. If you know his work, he was a scientist and a spiritualist. He actually was a Jesuit priest from France. And as he looked at the history of time, he could see that evolution is unfolding toward higher states of consciousness, a higher self, higher purpose, right? And he even, as you read his work, prophesied what is happening, I believe, right now, the omega point. When you talk about conscious living or oneness or diversity and unity, what is that? He called it omega point. What did he say the omega point was? He said the omega point is where there's this convergence of creator and created, and everything knows itself as one. Where in a sense we return to the garden, if you want to call it that. We we come back into this understanding, oh my God, I looked everywhere outside of me, and then I started looking within me and became conscious. And now, of course, we see the sacred when we're conscious, and it's a joyful way of living, and we're in service and open-hearted and all of these things. So that's what we're doing. You call it, if you want, the omega point. That's what's emerging. That's the 2040. And just invite you to, again, if it resonates with you, to partner with us and financially contribute, which is that's the fuel that supports our growth as we really go for this huge goal that we were given, this vision that we were given of the 2040 conscious living tipping point. So, and I'll just end with what we all know to be true, and we've heard so many times, and it can sound kind of cliche, but we are the ones we've been waiting for, right? We are. There's nobody coming down from on high that's going to do this. We can't be looking for somebody else. Thank God that back in the early 17th century, one man said, "There's the truth, and I'll share that truth." So one person can't do it anymore, but all of us can. We are the ones we've been waiting for. Okay, and with that, love and peace and blessings to all of you, and I'm grateful you're here. And now you get to hear some amazing speakers here. I'm going to introduce who's up next, which is, I mentioned, Suzanne Giesemann. So Suzanne Giesemann is a former U.S. Navy commander who served as a senior aide to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Yeah, you heard that right. Before a profound spiritual awakening that led her to become an evidential medium. And she's, as you know, millions follow her all over the world today. She now shares powerful messages from loved ones across the veil, helping people to find healing, peace, and connection. Suzanne is widely respected for her integrity, compassion, and clarity in communicating with the spirit world. And Suzanne, my total pleasure in introducing you and having you come on to speak here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve, and everybody that made this possible. Welcome, everybody. It's a joy to gather with all of you and talk about oneness. And hearing Steve talk about my background, it just shows me how far I've come and how far anybody can come. Because in my military days, oneness meant walking lockstep with everybody else, literally wearing a uniform, dressing alike. That was oneness. And yet we were still separate because you had to immediately notice what somebody's rank was and how you related to them and salute them if they were higher than you, and make sure they saluted you if they were lower than you. So there was this dichotomy of being the same yet being separate. But isn't that what it's like here? We live in this world of duality where there are two worlds, the physical and the non-physical, but they make up one world together. I had no idea there was a non-physical world back when I was in uniform, but now I am absolutely convinced of it and so thrilled to be part of humanity's team where everybody involved here knows about oneness, knows that we are interconnected at a level that we just can't see. I have been on the road for 2 months. I'm in the middle of a 7-month tour, taking our documentary Wolf's Message on the road for live screenings around the country. I had the pleasure of sharing that at Humanity's Team's Sacred Awakenings event. And it definitely shares a message of oneness. The challenge for me is I don't have time to do too many readings and connect people with their loved ones while I'm on tour and writing and such. But it became very clear to me that we don't have to consciously connect and sit down to connect with those across the veil to know that that other reality that is our true home is always here. And I love to share the latest evidence of this oneness whenever I talk to anybody, and Spirit never lets me down because I have a story for you now. Just, I think it was a week ago, Sunday, whenever Father's Day was here in the USA, I wasn't thinking about Father's Day when I woke up that morning, but somebody was across the veil. And it's the daughter of a couple named Patty and Dave Hart. Their daughter, Lauren, passed of cancer very tragically in her early 20s, about 4 years ago. I did a reading for Patty and Dave that absolutely changed their life with the evidence that showed them that Lauren is still so very much still a part of their life, just as all of our loved ones are across the veil. We just can't always sense them, but we can learn to. And that's what my courses on Humanity Stream help everybody to do. But I recognized Lauren when she unexpectedly dropped in on me on Father's Day morning. Before I forget, if you want to see what an evidential reading is like, just after this program, go to YouTube and watch for the video called, search for it. It's called Actual Evidence of the Afterlife. You'll see the whole reading unedited where Lauren came through to convince her parents that she's still here. So Lauren drops in on me 5:30 in the morning. We're still in bed. My husband's sleeping. I was like, Lauren, why are you here? you know, if somebody stepped into your room, you would know it was them. And because I connected so clearly with her, I recognized her. And she said, I have a message for my dad. I want you to tell him Happy Father's Day. And I said, oh, it's Father's Day. And she said, tell him he's the best dad ever. But, you know, those across spirit know how I work, that I require evidence. They have to tell me things I couldn't possibly know. It doesn't need to be a whole bunch, because Patty and Dave are already convinced Lauren's still here. But to back up that message, tell Daddy's the best dad ever, Lauren, without my even asking, told me a couple things. I reached over to the pad of paper beside my bed and started writing, just like I do in the movie Wolf's Message when I have these drop-ins. And I'm writing down, low tide where Dad is. He's going to find a crab. Then she showed me a brooch, a lady's pin that looked like a ladybug. She just flashed it before my eyes. So I wrote down brooch that looks like a ladybug. And I knew this was a current event, that Patty would recognize this. I don't know about you ladies out there, but I don't wear too many brooches. They're kind of out of style right now, but I knew Patty would know this brooch. Then she just went on to say a couple more things about how much she loves her parents. And then she shouted at me, Barney. I didn't know what that was all about, but again, I get the goosebumps even saying it. I knew it was validation that this is really Lauren coming to us from the non-physical realm. Why share this story at all? To open us all to the reality that we are connected across dimensions. We are all part of the same source. So this was really early here, and I waited a few hours till I was sure Patty and Dave were up. I knew they were at a house that looks out over Puget Sound in Washington State. So I called Patty. I said, hey, is Dave there? She said, yeah, he's sitting here right beside me. And I said, put me on speakerphone and you're going to want to record this. So she said, okay. I delivered all of these messages. I have a picture for you. The brooch that looked like a ladybug. Patty had just been going through her mother-in-law's jewelry the day before, looking at her brooches. She said, Suzanne, there wasn't one of a ladybug. I guess the one that caught my attention was a tulip. It's the one I like the most. And I was thinking, should I take this one? And I said, no, this was definitely not a tulip. This was a ladybug. But when she sent me the photo, I think you will see why it looked like a ladybug. The brooch is a tulip held by Patty in her fingers here. But look at how the leaves hang down. On the other side, you see a bunch of pictures of ladybugs in flight. Can you see how if spirit flashes an image to you really fast, it could look like that? But the fact that Patty had been looking through her mother-in-law's pins as her mother-in-law is getting ready to cross the veil and join Lauren, Lauren let her know that she's aware of everything going on with the family. And Barney was her absolute favorite as a child, used to drive her parents crazy. It's some cartoon character that she had to watch it all the time. So these are just two little things that I couldn't know to validate, Dad, you're the best dad ever. I want to wish you a happy Father's Day. But it's so much more than that. And here's the web of interconnectedness and why I want to share this with you right now. Patty said that just the day before, she had had a session with an energy healer who isn't normally a medium, but he said to her, oh my goodness, you have a daughter across the veil. And she says that on Father's Day, I'm going to send a message to Dad. You're going to be sitting together, the two of you, when I give you this message, and you're going to say, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. They thought they'd be looking out at the water and maybe a whale would swim by and they'd think that was a message. But look how Spirit set this up. That was a direct message on Father's Day. And it came through the web because Lauren spoke to the healer who spoke to Patty and Dave. Lauren came to me and we just connected all the dots. This is the web, everybody, and you are part of it. And what I love is that you heard about my military background. I'm not a born medium. I never saw spirit in my life, didn't even know the greater reality was real. And now we get this kind of evidence that shows me I was born to be a medium. But you don't have to be a medium to make the connection yourself. And Humanities Team has lots of courses on that. Their Humanities Stream program that we want to get out to the world. You heard Steve, 100,000 people. That's a big goal. And that only happens with help from all of us to make that possible. So those courses will help us know that we are souls and help to teach us tools to connect. Like this guy here that I found. I love this statue. This is one of the first keys to learning to connect with the oneness. You have to empty the mind and go to the heart. Isn't that a great little reminder? So I'll just end this by thanking all of you for paying attention. And I want to just bring up one of the things that I found in my reading yesterday, not a reading I did, reading a book. A woman at my latest screening of Wolf's Message in Salt Lake City introduced me to a book by her daughter who had a tragic car accident in which her brother was killed. Well, her brother gave her so many signs that he's still here that she wrote a book about the whole deal. And as I was reading her book just the other day, she was talking about why we as souls choose to come into these lives here when they're so challenging, and why aren't we all awakened all at once? And she said, well, it's like playing pin the tail on the donkey without a blindfold. It would be pointless. So we're not making light of this world and saying it's a game, but in a way, it is absolutely a challenge that you as a soul agreed to take on to come into this life. And awakening is removing the blindfold little by little. And Humanity's team and I, everybody that's going to talk to you today, has the same goal: to help more of us humans remove the blindfold so that we can see clearly who we really are. Thanks for being part of this program today.
Wow, that was stunning. Yeah, thank you so much, Suzanne. Yeah, remove the blindfold. There we go. That's one for the refrigerator. Okay. Thank you so much, Suzanne.
Welcome.
And she mentioned she's coming in from her tour 2 months. She's 2 months into a tour with this incredible movie. Boy, if you haven't seen this documentary, you want to see it. It just I don't think you can watch this movie and not believe in an afterlife. Wolf's Message is the name of the documentary. It's incredible.
Steve, if I could interrupt there, it's wolfsmessage.com where people can find out how to watch it now.
Thank you. Wolfsmessage.com. Yeah, check it out. And it's very grounded. You know, again, sometimes when we talk about afterlife, we can lose people. Let them watch this movie. They won't be lost anymore. We'll take that blindfold off. Okay, I'm going to next introduce Neale Donald Walsch. So he is, again, he's coming in on a recording. Couldn't be here with us live this morning, but he created this special message for us here today. Neale Donald Walsch is the internationally best-selling author of the Conversations with God book series, which has touched the lives of millions and been translated into dozens of languages. His work invites us into a direct personal relationship with the divine and encourages us to live with deeper purpose, compassion, and connection. As we know, Neale is also the co-founder of Humanity's Team and a passionate advocate for conscious living, spiritual awakening, and global transformation. And Neale, looking forward to your message here this morning.
Hello, everyone. My name is Neale, and I'd like to share a few words with you today about our collective experience on our planet. I'm sure you know that our global politics are not taking us where we want to go. But that doesn't mean there is no solution. Our differences do not have to produce divisions. Our contrasts do not have to create conflicts. The variations in our beliefs do not have to generate violence in our lives. And avid proponents do not have to become bitter opponents. There is another way. But we will not find that way by searching for it. We can only find that way by creating it. We can choose now not to be a seeker. We can choose to be a source. We can join together to write a new cultural story for humanity, a story that tells of the greatest truth that exists regarding our species. That truth? We are all one. There is only one thing, and all things are part of the one thing there is. The embracing of this story will produce a new tomorrow instead of a repeat of yesterday, and we can do this. We were designed to do this. We have simply forgotten who we really are. Now is the time for us to remember. That is, to become a member once again of the body of God. I believe that what you and I would call the spiritual path, a raising of consciousness, is what is required now if we are to create joyful and healthy lives individually and collectively. At the center of elevated consciousness is this awareness that, as I just said, we are separate from nothing. We really are all one. We are one with each other, with the planet, and yes, with God. All we have to do is help this truth to be embraced by more and more people around the world. And that's not something we can do alone, but we don't have to. We don't have to go it alone. There's strength in numbers, and humanity's team has created a global community to support people who move toward this goal and who feel moved to each do what they can to share the truth of our oneness. I'm not sure whether you're aware of it or not, but humanity's team has created the largest global streaming platform for consciousness raising education. We've been called to make conscious living prevalent worldwide by 2040, 15 short years from now. Humanity's team, if you're not aware of it, is a 22-year-old 501c3 nonprofit organization. And we have the vision, plans, and background to make all of this happen. But we need help. We need assistance. We need a lot of assistance because we're trying to reach 800 million people. That's critical mass. It's a tipping point. Sociologists tell us that's the critical mass. And we have to reach that number of people 15 short years from today. We're raising money now at first to take our subscription platform to 100,000 users so we can achieve the level of scale that puts us on the radar worldwide as the go-to community for conscious living. Next, we have created plans to provide financial support to our 65 country coordinators who are now in place, presently as volunteers. We would like to help them create live events, to produce engagement and activism programs. Thirdly, Humanity's team is collaborating with a team of about 20 leaders who work in and around the United Nations on a global project that we call Global Oneness Day. Our goal is for the United Nations to place Global Oneness Day on the UN event calendar, like Earth Day and the International Day of Peace. Our funding can help assure that we have the resources to make this happen, and then support regions of the world in creating Global Oneness Day activities when this special day is put in place on our calendar. There are other things that Humanity's team is doing as well, and I'm telling you all of this today because we're inviting partnership with individuals, organizations, and corporations. I believe there's no time to waste. Let me repeat that without wanting to be too dramatic. I believe there's no time to waste. We must act urgently if we are going to be successful. And there is a great deal on the line. Scientists are telling us that we're currently facing an existential crisis, and we must shortly begin living new ways on Earth if we want to leave a sustainable and flourishing planet to our children and to theirs. Thank you for allowing me to share all of this with you. If there's a part of you that agrees with me, please join me in this endeavor. Over 2 decades ago, I had a dream about all that was going on in the world. It was kind of a restless dream. I remember it vividly. I was tossing and turning in bed. I saw alienation and separation everywhere in this dream. I mean, there was this group and that group, this nation and that nation, this political party and that political party, this religion and that religion, this race and that race. It was all about separation, alienation. And then I awoke from my dream suddenly. I mean, I awoke with a start. And I asked myself a question. Who will be on humanity's team? We have all these teams. Who will be on humanity's team? This is your chance to say, me. I will be on humanity's team. Thank you, if that's your answer. And bless you for saying yes, for the sake of your children and theirs. Good going.
Okay. What a beautiful message, Neale. Thank you for that beautiful message. That was wonderful, as your messages always are. Okay, my total pleasure now to be introducing Debra Poneman. She is also coming in recorded. So she's Debra Poneman is a renowned speaker, transformational teacher, and founder of the legendary Yes to Success seminars. For over 4 decades, she's empowered people around the world to awaken their true potential using spiritual principles, timeless wisdom, and practical tools for success. Debra is celebrated for her authenticity, radiant energy, and unwavering commitment to helping others live lives of purpose, joy, and abundance. And boy, Debra, this is a recorded message, but she is with us year round on as part of so many programs. So Debra, thank you for being here.
Hello, everyone. It's Debra Poneman, and I am so honored to be here today via this recording, especially having recently returned from meeting many of you in person at the Sacred Awakening live event, which was a complete joy, and what a wonderful event it was. The reason I'm not on live Zoom is I had a prior commitment on this day, so I asked if I could share a recorded message because I am a huge supporter of everything Humanity's Team is up to, and I didn't want to miss this opportunity to share my thoughts. And one of the reasons I love these gatherings is that when the world is so divided, it's a beautiful contrast to be with a group of awakened people who believe the lofty yet achievable vision of Humanity's Team to make conscious living pervasive around the world by 2040 and to make our time on Earth even more meaningful. As Steve has said many, many times, humanity is in a race against time, and many people feel the challenges are insurmountable, but we at Humanity's Team don't think so. The reality is there are solutions. The first time I was invited to be part of Humanity's Team was as a panelist for their event called Global Oneness Day. It was at least 12 or 13 years ago. And I remember thinking, wow, this must be an amazing group of people to be working so hard to put an event together with the intent to create global oneness. And then I discovered that the group was called Humanity's Team. And I was even more excited and curious about who these folks were, because what is a team? It's a group of people who come together with a common purpose. And here was a team formed to win a game, not just for their team of 6 or 8 players, but to win on behalf of all of humanity. It was Humanity's Team. And when this team wins, everyone wins, because it's about raising the vibration of the entire planet. The mission of Humanity's Team isn't about changing the future for some. No, it's, if this team wins, it would change the future for everyone on Earth. So after that first invitation, well over a decade ago, I became an active team member, first by being a speaker, for Global Oneness and then a host during Global Oneness, which it was Global Oneness Day, and then it turned into Global Oneness 2 days, and then 3 days, and then 4 days. And I don't know how many days it is now because everybody wants to be a part of that event. And then I created a masterclass for Humanities Stream with the incredible Christy Whitman. It's called A New Kind of Power, a great program, if I do say so myself. And then I became part of the Humanities Team Advisory Board. And you know what? The vision that I saw that this team had 12 or 13 years ago just continues to get stronger and the commitment greater. And I am truly happy to be on a team that's taking action. No one on this team wastes time putting their attention on what's wrong with the world, because we know, as the great teacher Maharishi Mahesh Yogi once said, that which we put our attention on will grow in our life. So if we put our attention on what's wrong and constantly talk about that, then we're adding fuel to that fire. And there are a lot of fires on the planet right now, both literal and figurative. And this time, the members of this team don't sit around wasting their precious breath talking about how the world is, it's going to hell in a handbasket. No, the conversation here is, what can we do? How can we serve? How can we contribute to a world that works for everyone? And then offering a powerful, not a powerful program, many powerful programs and ways to awaken each person's own individual consciousness. And as more and more people become awake, one day there will be enough awake people that there is going to be a change on the planet. There's some name for it, like when water starts to boil, a moment is going to happen. I think it's called a phase transition. Yes, that's it. A moment will happen when all of humanity spontaneously wakes up and recognizes that we are all one. We are one, a one world family. And I hear that from Neale all the time, even in his Conversations with God books that he began writing in the 1990s. God, through Neale, makes it clear that if we want to create a world where we come together as one, a world that's bathed in love, if we want to change humanity's future, we have to take action. We can't just wish it. I mean, visualizing is great, but we have to take action. And that's why we're here today, because we have it on good authority, or God authority, that the time to take action is right now, not tomorrow or my least favorite day, someday. Now is the time we need to act, or the tomorrow that we envision might not happen. So global oneness is not a pipe dream. Science is even on our side. Nobel laureate physicist Eugene Wigner, I think it's pronounced Wigner. Anyway, he shared that our consciousness is at its basis made up of a fundamental energy, and our consciousness and our thoughts actually affect matter. So when our consciousness vibrates with peace and love and coherence, or with excitement about new ideas, it creates ripples of high vibration throughout the underlying unbounded field of consciousness. And these ripples influence the entire creation, including the consciousness of others. It's science. And Humanities Team provides us with wisdom from dozens of the world's greatest transformational leaders that not only spark in us the desire to adopt new behaviors that raise our consciousness, behaviors like gratitude and intentioning for others, like we learned from Lynn McTaggart, who's the author of The Intention Experiment, who is one of Humanities Team's great contributors. Also behavior like meditating and using our breath and chanting and drumming and yoga, and also how to bring more prosperity and success. And I mean, everything is covered in Humanities Stream, and most of all, being voices for conscious living. And you know what else? As fantastic as it may seem, cutting edge research published in highly reputable peer-reviewed journals has also repeatedly shown that when a sufficiently large group of people come together, like we're doing today, or you're all there today, I mean, they're in my heart, or doing during Global Oneness Day, 2 days, Global Oneness Week, or humanities team master classes, or our live event that we just had, Sacred Awakening, when that sufficiently large group of people has a collective experience of positivity or of peace or of excitement, it actually produces a measurable shift in the collective consciousness in the world. There have been documented studies here in the US based on FBI crime statistics and other internationally respected measures that during those times when groups of people are gathered for good, there have been significant reductions in crime, as well as reductions in violence and wars and accidents and hospitalizations. It's that critical mass that we've heard Steve and Neale speak about. All of this has taken place, as well as increases in peace and wellness and mental and physical well-being. Even the stock market rises and the GNP. There's literally nothing that coming together doesn't influence in a positive manner. In fact, this phenomenon is actually one of the most thoroughly documented social science phenomena in history. And how reliable is this data? Well, the probability of finding these results by chance is less than 5%, which brings us back to the here and now. Personally, I feel so grateful for even having the opportunity to be part of a team with such a wide-reaching potential for good. Being part of humanity's team is a gift to yourself, and it's a chance to get good karma by contributing to the upliftment of the world. So, all that having been said, I invite you to take advantage of this opportunity before you to join us and support humanity's team capital raising campaign, raising capital to raise consciousness. Steve talked about being called to something. I hope you are called to help our efforts to raise capital to create a new world, a better future for all of humanity. As Steve often says, we are all just one decision away from changing humanity's future. And as Neale heard the question many years ago from God, who will be on humanity's team? And we hope the answer is all of you, because we're in this thing together. Be a part of our initiative and donate what you can. We can do it with your help. So thanks for being here and welcome to the team. Bye for now.
Wow, huh? Talking about a powerful, beautiful message. Debra, oh, thank you so much. Debra has been in this transformational education space since the 1980s. And wow, you can see why she has so much impact all over the world, wherever she goes and speaks and does her good work. So Debra, thank you. Really stunning. Okay, so we are now um, at Sue Frederick. So Sue Frederick is a best-selling author, intuitive, and spiritual coach who helps people navigate grief and realign with their soul's purpose. Her work bridges the mystical and the practical, drawing from her own profound experiences of loss and divine connection. Sue's message is one of hope, empowerment, and spiritual guidance, and her compassionate work empowers others to reconnect with their divine path and embrace life after loss with courage and clarity. And Sue Frederick, just so much my pleasure to be introducing you and bringing you into this program today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Steve. It is such an honor to be part of Humanity's team, and being at the conference in May was such a high frequency event, such a heart-opening experience for all of us. And I want to talk about heart-opening experiences because that is really what our humanities team is being called to do right now all over the world. When we look at our world events through our human selves, we get ideas and thoughts about what's right and what's wrong. And that's how the world of humans has existed since the beginning of human times. But now, in this new time of ascension, we are really all being asked to quiet the mind. Nobody's ideas are here to be right, and instead to get into the heart where we feel our oneness, where we know that unconditional love that pours through all of us from the loving God source. It comes into you no matter how painful you might be feeling or afraid or doubting. That unconditional love of the God source is always pouring through us and out of our heart chakra to the world when we allow it. And the only thing that blocks it is our worry mind and our fear. And Humanities Team is calling everyone to get out of their heads. Whatever course you take on Humanities Team is going to teach you a whole different way of shifting into your heart, quieting your mind. That's what I love about Humanities Team, whether you're interested in angels or mediumship or numerology. I'm a numerologist and I use numbers to help people connect to their spirit view of the world. But I also want to talk right now about the angels. I want to take you back to 2014 when, in my opinion, the world felt a little bit easier than it does now. And I was sick. I had a very high fever, and one night in my illness, I lifted out of my body. I had a very pure out of body experience and a vision where I was held all night long by angelic beings. And the reason I know they were angels is because I've gotten to learn about the different energies that departed loved ones bring us, angels bring us, spirit guides, the God source. It all has a little different flavor to it. So when you get used to that, you can feel this incredible, loving, nurturing, unconditional love that the angels pour on us. They're always with us. But in 2014, in that night, the angels held me all night long with so much love. And they were whispering in my ear, and they were showing me this vision that's on my screen. And they were showing me all the light shooting up from people on earth opening their hearts to one another. And they were saying to me, do you see how every time someone on earth opens their heart, that enormous light shoots up into the world and into the universe and illuminates the darkness? And they were showing me it was moving around the globe, always filling in the dark crevices, always awakening, always healing. All night long, they were saying, love always wins and the light overcomes darkness. They were saying these are essential rules that you have to know and trust, because in the next few decades, things will get tough. But we need teachers like Humanities Team teaching the universe, the world, that the light is always winning. We have to carry our light, no matter how afraid we are, no matter how worried we might be. And that is our human dilemma, because being down here in this earth world, we're going to have feelings and we're going to have ideas about how things are going here. And yet the moment we go, angels, lift me, bring me into that higher frequency of unconditional love, where I can see all of this from the higher lens of my higher soul. And in that moment, I can love everyone here, soul to soul. It takes us way beyond personality and human behavior. This is our call to action. In fact, the angels are so adamant right now that we have to trust that this is easier than we think, and that we each have angels around us 24/7 and have since the moment we came into our human life. And these angelic beings, they love us unquestionably. They aren't here to guide and counsel the way a spirit guide might be, and they aren't here to be a departed loved one who has a specific kind of personality and relationship with us, which I adore, and I'm grateful for mine and grateful for people like Suzanne who help us connect to those. But the angels are simply all in with humanity to help us open our hearts, shift our frequency, and love one another, soul to soul. Right now, your angels are whispering in your ear saying, carry the light. Carry the light of love, forgiveness, wisdom, kindness. That's all you have to do. And they will help you in every moment of this awakening. And I always say it's so easy to call them in. You don't have to go meditate for an hour. You don't have to do a lot of inner work. You can actually just say, angels, help me, heal me, lift me, love me. And you feel that frequency shift. You feel the heart opening. And then you are part of the light on earth that is overcoming the darkness. I remember when I first got that message, I started writing about it because I'm a channel when I write. And so if I don't understand something, I'll just get out my pen or my computer and download it and write it. And the book, Through a Divine Lens, came through about how we can all shift into this light, this love. And then things on earth got more intense because in numerology, we're in a 9 universal year, which is an ending of life as we know it and a release of how the ego mind wants things to go. So when you look at the world and have an opinion about wars or politics, it's a surrender of that and a trusting in the divine order unfolding that will always carry the light. That's a hard thing for the human mind to do because we just want to believe it, we control it here. And yet, the great blessing is we don't have to. We can use these teams of divine beings to help us open our hearts, even when we're struggling. We can go back to the trust that the light is always winning. And the 9 universal year says, we've got this. You don't have to get this. All you have to do is love and carry your light through every relationship, every moment of conflict and pain. And we're all human, so that doesn't mean you're going to do it 24/7. But when you remember, call in those beings of light to help you. That's what we have to do now because things are at such a tipping point, as Humanities Team is always teaching. We are really about to bring it into complete ascension, but you are needed. All of you are needed. And your easiest way to join us is to be part of Humanities Team, take the courses that are here, get involved with it, donate to it. We are carrying our light when we do this Humanities Team work. So one more thing about the angels. I grew up Catholic, and so I was handed a very dogmatic understanding of angels and God, and I think we all grew up in some form of religious dogma. And so I never really valued the angels the way they were kind of presented to me, as warriors carrying swords. And so in my life, I was always connecting, to the God source or departed loved ones or even the spirit guides. But in this vision in 2014, the angels showed me so dominantly how they are the powerful beings on earth right now. And to be sure that I got it right, they came back in my life in 2023 and appeared on my wall. I have a picture of it. It's on my website. I have an angel, pure being of light, that appeared in my bedroom in 2023. And I had a conversation with it, changed my life forever. And since then, the angels have been downloading to me how humanity has to shift this consciousness. You are able to download the angels easily, easier than anything. Pick up your pen, close your eyes, and go, angels, tell me what I need to know today. Tell me what healing I can bring to the world now. And as you know, Humanities Team has a ton of courses on angels. There's a new one coming up that I'm grateful to be a part of. And all of these speakers here have very powerful, unique ways of connecting to those higher beings, connecting to our higher self. That's the gift of Humanities Team. It's not just one approach, one lane to this consciousness. It's so many different things. And every human walking on earth will have one piece of it that really resonates. So get on the Humanities Team website, figure out what's the avenue for you that's going to help you move through these times, move through this 9 universal year, surrender what you think is right and what you think should happen, and open the heart to feel that beautiful love and connection that really tells us we are all part of humanity's team. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you, Steve.
Oh, and so it is. Reverend Sue, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful, beautiful message. Yeah, and we'll, as you say, angel up, huh?
That's
Which
right.
is part of our invitation here. Yeah, the angels are and guides are always here. Suzanne Giesemann talks about this too. Karen Noe. So we just have to open ourselves, and why would we not? To avail ourselves of that support. Thank you, Reverend Sue. Such a beautiful message. Okay, it's my total honor now to introduce you to Jan Hatcher. And Jan Hatcher was with us in Fort Collins at Sacred Awakening Lives. Some of you may have met her. Just a beautiful woman who is also on our board of advisors. So Jan Hatcher is a spiritual educator, counselor, and nonprofit leader with over 3 decades of experience in transformation and conscious living. She holds graduate degrees from Harvard and Virginia Commonwealth Universities and currently teaches religious studies at VCU, specializing in human spirituality and world's religions. A lifelong seeker and nature lover, she is devoted to reflecting divine love and helping others remember their interconnectedness with all of life. And Jan, so good to have you here with us today. Welcome, Jan.
Thank you. It is really an honor to be a part of this team, to be a part of this esteemed group of speakers and participants. I am newer to Humanities Team, and at this phase of my life, I have been kind of in service of advancing spirituality and consciousness in the world for decades. And I reached an inflection point in my own life where there was space ahead. And even though I'm still teaching, I was feeling called to something more in this field. And someone, I think it was Sue, mentioned the words surrender and trust. And that's the process through which I have found my way to Humanities Team. I surrendered, I trusted signs, I trusted where I was feeling led. And here I am, and I'm really excited to be a part of this team. This team feels poised to make a significant impact in global consciousness and the future of our planet. We've all, as many of the speakers have noted today, we've been operating based on an old narrative, a narrative that's been influenced a lot by science, because we had this idea that it was either science or religion, science or spirituality. We had Descartes and Newton, Darwin, Steve mentioned, that have conditioned us to think about scarcity and competition, and that we are individuals in this material world. And now we are coming to the realization through this evolution of thinking and awareness about the oneness and interconnectedness that is sacred reality, that is the reality beneath the surface. There's a wonderful image in Buddhism of there's the ocean that is sacred reality, and that there are these temporary waves that arise. And on the surface, we see these waves as separate. And that's how we have been conditioned to think of ourselves in life, that we have this form that's separate from everything else and that there's some permanence to it. But then, just like the waves, we are really a part of the whole always, and we're always connected to all of it. And this temporary form, the separateness is the illusion. And that illusion has created so many global problems and interpersonal problems. There in our more advanced societies around the world, we have the highest levels of depression, anxiety, suicide, alcohol, and drug dependency. because we're living as separate beings and we've been conditioned to think in terms of competition. So this changing story is really exciting, and we can look back at a number of things. The 1940s photo, looking back at Earth from space, the first time that we humans were able to see the Earth and see there really are no separations between nations. There is a oneness to the symbol of the planet Earth. And then Carl Sagan and his work, his speech on the blue dot, and that we are one organism, that the Gaia principle, that we are all part of this one organism, this evolving new story that really harkens back to the spiritual wisdom that's always been here and that mystics have tapped into for millennia. We are now finding our way back to it. And Steve, you mentioned return to the Garden of Eden. I think in terms of that symbolism as well, that we have had this longing. It's like we know inside, when we learn to go inside, that spiritual wisdom is there. The spiritual wisdom of the oneness, the interconnectedness, that we are all part of divine unity. And in that, we can find our way to what was also referred to. Joseph Campbell talks about, finding one's bliss. That bliss is found in the remembering and the recognition and the realization and the living into our oneness, our interconnectedness. And one thing I want to point out about Darwin, in The Descent of Man, he only talks about survival of the fittest 2 times, but that got popularized by other writers. He mentions love and cooperation 95 times. And in fact, he attributes the survival of our species to the fact that we have natural empathy and a desire to cooperate with each other. So Darwin is a part of this oneness story, this cooperation. And now, Suzanne talked about the importance of research. There's so much research that's starting to support this idea of oneness, entanglement, interconnectedness, interdependency, looking at other animal species that really demonstrate democratic ways of deciding what the group does. And now with trees, even the symbiotic relationship between trees and fungal networks for communicating, cooperating, sending out alarm signals to other trees when there is an invader. And then there's a response, a protective response. So it's so exciting to be here in this time when there's an opportunity ahead for us to really affect the future of the world in which we want to live and the world that we want to pass on to our children and grandchildren. And Humanities Team, with all of its breadth and depth of programming, the goals for 2040, the growing momentum of the team itself, we are poised to have significant impact in the future of our world. Howard Zinn, the historian and activist, said that we can't be neutral on a moving train. Every day we have an opportunity to co-create the world in which we want to live through the choices we make and the actions that we take. So the invitation now to all of you is to engage further, support the work of the Humanities Team as it resonates with you. We can do this. We can do it. We are tapped into the spiritual reality of life that wants this work to happen. And so as an instrument of sacred reality, we can do this together. And we really appreciate your being here today and your support as we move forward in this work.
Jan, oh, what a beautiful message. Thank you so much. As Jan mentioned, she's newer to, actually, she's been a friend for quite some time, but newer to this Board of Advisors role in Humanities Team. And what a beautiful, gorgeous message that for me, it brought in sort of the right brain and left brain, and maybe most importantly, the heart. So Jan, thank you. That was beautiful. Coming in from Richmond, Virginia. Okay, and now it's my honor to introduce you to Ross Hostetter. So you all probably know Ross. He's been with us for more than a few years. Ross Hostetter is an attorney, mediator, and visionary leader with decades of experience guiding individuals and organizations through ethical innovation, conscious leadership, and systems transformation. He's known for blending legal expertise with deep spiritual insight to help create structures that are both practical and soul aligned. Ross also serves as a trusted advisor to Humanities Team, where he supports mission driven growth and aligned leadership. Ross, my pleasure to introduce you here to the group that's with us today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, dear friend. It falls on me to talk about Humanities Team and its theory of change, and also what it needs in order to affect the change that it wants to see and wants to be part of in the world, and to ask you all for your help with that process. It's no surprise to anyone that opens up any newspaper that we are in an epidemic, we could call it a pandemic, of otherness. When you look at the news, and it's all about what others are doing. It's all about our tribal identities. It's all about our wars. It's all about our separation. It's all about our polarization. And that all starts with the idea that we are other and that we are not one. So Humanities Team is a unique organization that goes to the root of that problem. The first cause of all this stuff that we are seeing, all of this environmental degradation, all these wars, all this polarization, is our pandemic of otherness. Humanities Team exists to provide the solution to that and to get to the first cure. The first cure is the consciousness of oneness, seeing that we are not separate. And this is actually seeing the world as it is. It's seeing the world that science affirms is true. It sees that we are an interdependent, interconnected world, that we are one thing, one being. Now, it's when you get this, the world starts to shift. Okay, when you get it in your heart, as Sue has talked about, and many of the other speakers, things begin to shift. You begin to want different things. Instead of wanting to dominate someone, to acquire things, you want to love, and you want to give, you want to heal, you want to inspire, you want to help people with their evolution, you want to help yourself evolve, you want to open up to dimensions of reality that have been closed to you. And that awakening is a powerful thing. We oftentimes talk about that awakening in terms of its fundamental medium, which is love itself. That's what the medium of oneness is. And that can sound Pollyannish and it can sound romantic, but it is not. Love is a powerful, powerful force in this world. It is a powerful creative force that changes everything. It changes children when they're loved. It changes communities when they're loved. It changes and grows a whole different world based on a different principle. So the mission of Humanities Team is to get that thing started, and once it's started, to keep it moving. So how does it do that? Well, that may be the wrong way of asking the question, because the question really is not about so much about what to do, but it is about what to be. And what Humanities Team does, the theory of change, is pretty simple. It assumes that we are in this interconnected field of consciousness, which is the case. It is reality. And it does its level best with the resources that it has to begin to interject into that field these actionable forms of love that have tremendous causal effect. Changes in consciousness are nonlinear changes. It's not like changing a tire that just fixes one thing. Something changes in the consciousness world, and it gets a tenfold return out, because it vibrates out through the interconnected field. It changes all of the things that it interacts with, and the possibilities of expansion and multiplication are radical. Just like Debra Poneman said, when we all get together, it has these radical changes and effects which are nonlinear. So what does Humanities Team do to help all this? Well, first of all, it gathers people like you on this call. And at the end of it, hopefully you're going to be in a little bit better state than you were at the beginning, to be able to go out and teach and heal and cure the world right as it's sitting in front of you, in your families and your children, in your garden, and with your spouses. So that is of unestimable importance to do that. It also interjects a community into the conscious field. The first community of Humanities Team is the staff itself. I don't know if you know much about the organization, but we've got a staff of about 45 people. I came in about, 3 years ago, something like that. I've spent my entire life in staff conflict. Trying to get top teams aligned in organizations. I've done over 4,000 mediations of conflicts that have gotten to the litigation level. Families in conflict, partnerships in conflict, acts of negligence and othering that cause all these damages, and trying to rectify it. I came into Humanities Team and I couldn't find any of it. So, I'm a organizational development guy, and there is really no conflict on this team, which is an amazing thing to experience. What does that mean? Well, it means that there's no heat and there's no friction that's taking up all the energies of the organization, and there's no conflict and tension that chews up resources, as so many organizations are in. So it's a very clean and very pure organization. And I'll just say, I've looked at a lot of them, and this is a good one. It's a good place to put your money. It's a good place to put your time, because it's going to be well used, and it's not going to diffract a whole bunch of it in conflict. So that's one thing that it interjects. The second thing that it interjects, as Neale talked about and as other people have talked about, is this Humanities Team teaching platform. There's 250 teachers on that platform. Last year alone, 52 more were added. We had another 7 master classes. That interjects spiritual intelligence into the field. And as others speakers have just said, there's things there for everybody, for everything that you might be interested, to grow your intelligence, to help in your personal evolution. And that is another thing that it interjects in the world. Every year, it puts on a 4-day summit called, that is the thing that we just do every year to get the whole group together. Last year, there were 233,000 people that clicked into that summit. Okay, 33,000 of them came live. that's a stadium full of people. And that's not nothing to be able to do that. And as Neale said, it does take numbers. If we just get to the number of people that are tuning into college football on a Saturday with all those stadiums, we'll change the world. But we've already got one. So these are just fundamental things that the organization just does on a daily basis with the relatively small resources that it has. This is a relatively small nonprofit. It runs on a from 1.2 to $1.5 million budget a year. If any of you have run an organization, you got 45 people, that really doesn't pay staff salaries, okay, for that number of people. Steve Farrell, who is on this call, has worked on this for 22 years. He's never taken a dime in salary. And that's true with other volunteers as well. But there's a critical need to support the organization to do what it does. So just for example, one of the goals that we have, as Neale talked about, is to get the Stream Plus subscriber base from 3,000 to 100,000 people. You might think that it's easy to have a seamless user experience online, that all of the signups work perfectly, that all of the video shows when you click them, all of the live broadcasts that we do work seamlessly, but it doesn't happen that way. One small little thing can completely mess up the entire system, and it requires a dedicated team of people to be able to put those graphics together, to be able to put those, all of that technology together. And similarly, organizations that are doing similar things spend tens of millions on that alone. And Humanity's team is able to do that very efficiently with the clean team that it has. This last year, we went from a platform into a Uscreen platform to be able to produce this seamless user experience, which has been a major transition, but it takes funding to do that. It takes funding to put this on. We have goals that are beyond the current things that Humanity's team are doing. Neale talked about them, not only the growth of the Stream Plus, but the opportunity that we have at the United Nations level to be able to get global oneness on the worldwide agenda is remarkable, because honestly, oneness is not even on the menu. It's not covered by the press. This form of consciousness is still just in these small groups like we're gathering here. It doesn't have the traction out in the world that is going to be required for us to get this whole thing turned over. And we think that it'll take, a relatively small amount of people, maybe 800 million people, 10% of the global population. And we're going to have this shift over that happens. But getting this on the menu is exceptionally important. And we need a staff member there. We need to be able to support that initiative.
You can bring it in.
The final thing that in the three big ones is these country coordinators that we have. We have 69 of them now, and they need support. They're hanging out as volunteers. They've raised their hand. They're saying, I'm going to devote my life to this oneness possibility. But when they're alone in Uzbekistan or down in Peru or in Bolivia, or, that we need to support them. So what do we need? First of all, we took a look at this a couple of years ago. To get to this next level and support just those three things takes about 1.5 million. Last year, we had a good fundraising year. We raised 650,000, one of the biggest years that we ever had, because of a couple of big donors came in. But the funding base is still relatively low. Only about 100 people give on a regular basis, and we have between 30 and 35 that come in as major donors. But we'll need to get to that level in order to accomplish the basic things that we already have online. The fourth major initiative is when you look around these rooms, you will see people that are generally over 50 years old, oftentimes over 60 years old. And that, although we are the way showers and we our people that have our repositories of all this information and consciousness, that needs to be transmitted to a different generation of people. And we're actively working on that right now with new partnerships, with ignite.org, with evolve.org, with a younger demographic to be able to produce more experiential experiences and direct transmissions that they want, and to be able to have this organization live in the minds of the next generation of people, because they're the ones that are going to have to solve all the problems, okay, that are here. So I just want to ask you for your help. If you have the ability to do it, I will just give my own testimony that every dollar that you provide will, it's not going to big parties and fancy offices and everything like that. Every single one is going to be devoted to the mission in a very clean way. So if you have the capacity to do it, we do need your help, and we will get multiples of that help tenfold out in the world. So Steve, with that, I'll just stop and let you close up. Thank you so much for listening to me, everybody.
Thank you, Ross. Beautiful. And thank you for sharing all of what you see in Humanities Team over these years that we've been working together. And boy, it's true. Every dollar is spent very thoughtfully, very carefully. It's amazing, really, what this nonprofit has been able to do with the revenue sources that we have. And now we're aiming at this planetary mission, this moonshot thing of creating tipping point here in 15 years. So it's important, it's urgent. I want to thank everybody for being on the call. We've gone over, so thank you all for being with us for a little over 90 minutes. We appreciate your partnership. We're inviting you to partner with us even more closely. Let's do this thing. We are doing this thing. And you all are those 3 degrees, those 6 degrees from others. So other people, other organizations that you know that would resonate with this work, that would agree, that ultimate reality is other than what we are living into today, right? That's at its basis, that's really what we're doing here, is we're inviting people to live into ultimate reality, which is this oneness, right? It's this conscious living that's clear that there's a consciousness with a capital C, a self with a capital S. It's inclusive of each other, the earth, God, the cosmos, universe. We're sovereign to that. So thank you for being here, and let's partner more closely, and let's do this. And then we're going to have a big celebration in 2040, huh? Okay. Thank you, speakers. Thank you, viewers. And stay with us here. We have programs that are free every week. And we've got free programs on the Humanities Team site that we've been talking about. The Humanities Stream Plus platform, this global streaming platform that's currently the largest global streaming platform for consciousness raising education. It's only $2.99 a year for these 200 plus programs that reside on the platform. And then we're bringing in new programs every week or every other week. So it's really a great deal when you consider that in the industry, standalone master classes are now going for, right around $350. So a very cost-effective community and platform. With that, and thank you also to the Humanities Team partners and colleagues here. There are many that helped to create this program, promote it. It's running right now on social media. So thank you to all of the team that helped to make this possible. Come back tomorrow, same time, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. If you'd like to go down into our numbers, the Google Analytics, the SEO, the social media, the campaigns, we're going to take you down into all of the numbers so you can see for yourself the incredible progress that we're making with the programs that we have in place today and these new ones that are in pipeline. Okay, love and peace and blessings, everybody, and see many of you tomorrow, I hope.